I came into this country with literally nothing. As an immigrant, I moved from nothing to something to becoming, who I am today. These stories are real. We need to celebrate these victories. We need to let people know that things are possible. I'm a global talent recipient. Global talent visa is about your yesterday, your today, and your tomorrow.
Welcome, Dr. Yemisi. We are very happy to have you here. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here on the Worldy Post.
Okay, I think we'll just jump right and start. And I think the first question that I want to ask, tell us who is Dr. Yemisi and what do you do?
I'm a very, very proud child of God. I love God so much. I'm a mother, I'm a wife. And yeah, I'm a virologist by profession. And yeah, I love to meet people. I love to connect with people, which is honestly what brought me to YouTube, to be honest. I love to, help people navigate through the immigrant journey, basically. And yeah, so I'm the face behind the Dr. Yem's channel.
Awesome. So being a virologist, what's that like, your day to day?
So I work in the laboratory as a scientist. Yes, I've got a PhD by the grace of God. And yeah, my day, like a day for me is, developing molecular assays in the laboratory.
Awesome. So a lab professional by day and YouTuber night and weekend, right?
Exactly. I guess I can call myself a part-time content creator like you.
So why did you go into YouTube?
Wow, I got into YouTube, inspired by my own immigrant journey, basically, because, I came into this country with literally nothing. Nothing, as in, I came as a master's student. I had University of Nottingham Developing Solutions, 100% scholarship with no cost of living. So I've had to go through, working 20 hours week in, week out. And thank God, for my parents and all that who could send money to support me. And so I went through this journey where, as an immigrant, I moved from nothing to something to becoming, who I am today. And then I just, thought, there's so many people out there that have the same story, that have the same journey, and these stories are real. We need to celebrate these victories. We need to let people know that things are possible. Lots of people come here. Some people might come here with a golden spoon, some people silver spoon. Like one of my pastor friends will say, so Samuel Adeleke, shout out to you. He says some of us don't even have spoon at all. So I went through this journey as an immigrant, and I thought, it's it's high time I created a place where I could give, people that chance to hear other immigrant stories, to get inspired, for their next big thing, Like the Bible says, we overcame by the blood of the Lamb and the words of our testimony. So one person's story can just, change another person's life and they can get inspired.
But before we continue, I want us to, there was something you said while you were talking. You mentioned the fact that you came here for masters, but I want to backtrack a little bit. Before you came to the UK, what was growing up for you like? What was that deciding factor that said, oh, okay, I have to move to the UK? And I feel a lot of times it's important for people to know where we are coming from, what inspired us to make that move and all of that.
I grew up in the north, basically, moved from Zaria to Maiduguri, where I school. I went to the University of Maiduguri, and yeah, it was growing up for me was really great. I'm from a very humble background, from Nigeria, and yeah, I really wanted to, that zeal to impact people has just been there from a very tender age. Yeah, people used to think, you should be a lawyer, because when I start questioning you, this girl will be. But no, I wanted to study medicine, and when I didn't get into medicine, I remember then I was in 200 level, and my dad was, told, oh, just let her come back and repeat 100 level, get medicine for her and all that. I was like, by the time those that are doing this medicine will be finishing, that I would have become a doctor of doctor. There is no way I'm going to go back to 100 level. And yeah, so I started to study microbiology, and I started getting interested in, I can teach people. I am someone that is very good with teaching people, public speaking and all of that. So I thought, it will be great to be able to impact younger lives. And so at a very tender age, I was someone that God gave me so many opportunities to be able to reach out to quite a number of young people. So I thought, okay, I think I found what I wanted to. And yes, so I finished, and yeah, God's grace, I got a job as a graduate assistant in the university. And yeah, I started my journey. I was like, okay, there needs to be, there has to be more for me to, do better if I wanted to, become a professor someday, to impact lives like I've always dreamed. So yeah, I just kept on going, and I just wanted more, that global opportunities, develop my skills. And that was what got me interested in, let's go abroad. If I go to a developed country, I'll be exposed more to learning skills and all that. So yeah, I started applying Manchester and University of Nottingham. University of Nottingham came with 100% scholarship. And yeah, that was how I found myself here in the UK. So it was all about education, to be honest. It was just about, I wanted more opportunities. I wanted to explore, to be able to impact lives at every level and at every opportunity that God brings my way.
Awesome. I think the moral of the story is, don't give up. If you have a vision for yourself, right, you should chase it and keep chasing it. And I love that, because that's the story of a lot of people that I've spoken to that are here in the UK. They started, it wasn't easy at first. Things were not convenient, but they kept going and going. And before you know it, one door opened, another door opened. And now most of them are doing what they've always wanted to do. I think the next question that I want to ask is, you've interviewed a lot of Nigerians and immigrants in general that you can call them a success story here in the UK. What are those qualities or traits? I've just mentioned one of them that I've noticed myself, right? But what are some other traits that you think that you've seen that is common to all of these guys that would say contributed a massive deal to their success?
Yeah, I think most people are very resilient. I think every immigrant they've got this resilience of, I am here, and I just want to get the best of what I can and the opportunities that I have. I think that's one thing that is very, very, very common to most people. Is about that. I might have come from a humble background. I was financially not buoyant where I'm coming from, but that zeal, that setting a goal to hit that target of, I will make my parents proud, I'll make myself proud, is something that is common to most immigrants. It's just that being able to enjoy the opportunity as well that most of us get as immigrants. Most of us are coming from a developing country,
Yeah.
Or an underdeveloped country, depending on where you're coming from as an immigrant. Is always an opportunity to get the best out of yourself. And that's one thing from most of the interviews I've done, it's all about people just want to challenge themselves to getting a better life out here.
Second part is, for most of us that have now become parents, where our kids don't have that kind of experience, are you worried that they might not have that same drive? And if you're not worried about it, what are you doing? What are you putting in place to make sure that they are able to be driven, basically, just like you are, but even though you had a different motivation that they won't necessarily understand?
Yeah, to be honest, I think that's it. Most of us are driven by, what our experiences really, the experiences we've had in life, it's helped us, it's shaped us to become who we are today. And the opportunities that we get, we just want to grab them and, do better and have a legacy, pass on some of those things. But for this generation, it's a different generation entirely. When you're talking about our children, the experiences they're having, you wake up, your kid will tell you, Mommy, I don't want this. Wow. Mommy, can I just have something else? Like you said, some of us didn't have options. That's when you'll be eating the same food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And you be grateful to God for it. When there's an option, that's when the song "Some have food but cannot eat wood." You'll be reminded of those
Yeah,
songs. You have food, just give glory
to
to God.
God.
It's a different generation entirely, and for our children, the opportunity they have in the developed world is totally different. And I always tell parents and even myself, it's a reality check for us all. You must come to the realization that these children are growing in a different world. It's totally different. When we're growing up, when your mom just says, how far. When your mom gives you that eyes, you would, the first time, myself and my daughter went to the mall, and I was like, Mommy, are you okay? Hi. What?
It didn't work.
Nothing, nothing is wrong with my eyes. You need to, you need to just behave. Oh, okay. So what do you want me? Did you want me to do something? Are you okay, man? What's wrong with your eyes? Thing is wrong with my eyes. By the time I went on and on again, she was like, Mommy. Then she knew that I was trying to say something, but I wasn't speaking. But where we come from growing up,
Yeah,
when they give you an
you
eye,
know what to do.
the way your mom or your dad moves, the
Yeah,
way they sit, adjust, it means a lot. But this generation, you're moving, they're telling you, sorry, are you okay? So yeah, it's a reality check for most of us as parents, especially as immigrant parents, and it's something we need to consciously and intentionally do for our children. Something we need to make them understand. They might not have the experience we have, but we need to be able to let them know our culture, let them know what our culture is. And also, we need to put them in the way of God. Just let them know that this is right. And
yeah,
so we need to teach our children. This generation, it was easier for our parents then because, the foundation was there. So some of us, we could leave home, go anywhere. Our parents are not worried because they knew that they have given us the right foundation. And that is something as immigrant parents that we must do for our children, is to be able to set that foundation right. Do what you want them to do. Let them see you live the right life that you want them to live, or you trust God for them to live. So that foundation is very key. Helping them to understand. You will also need to understand them because it's a totally different environment. It's a struggle for immigrant parents. But you must know that your children will be more British than you.
true.
You understand. So, but what is your own identity? What are your own values? Those are very important things that you must begin to expose them to it. Once you can expose them to it and give them that foundation, I think we will begin to see less social worker issue, because they have to. Your children have to be your friend. You have to be their first friend. You must have a relationship with your children that you are the first person they want to talk to about everything or anything going wrong. And it starts with you just creating that time. No matter how busy you get, no matter how you want to, get shift and all of that, is about, I need to create that time. And with the children here, if you don't create that time, you can't hear them, not be able to understand what they are talking about. So you have to create that time. Even if it's just every day, what happened in school today? How was school today? Oh yeah, school was okay. No, we go through it. Oh, when I went to class, playtime, what did you do? Who did you play with? Who
Being
did you,
intentional.
how did you play? What was the play? I'm telling you, you'll be surprised. With the first day our daughter was taught the difference between a boy and a girl in school. It was a very big conversation, and that was on another level for us. But not that we don't talk about it, but it was different
True.
because she started seeing me different. And we had to, have those conversations. So the problem, with immigrant parents is always, when can I have those conversations? When? But just be intentional about it. Create a routine as much as possible, and discipline yourself to attend to your child. It's very difficult, I must be honest with you. We all want to, make ends meet. We have to go to work and all of. By the time you come back, you are tired. Thank God there's no school fees to be paid. For those people, there are still people that send their children to independent schools where they are,
Yeah.
paying and all of that. But, be intentional. That's just it. Create a routine and start seeing the results you actually want to see. Tell your children what you want them to know. If it will take you making notes, please do. Like, oh, I can tick this, I can tick this. These are things that, start thinking about and deliberately making sure we can action them.
Awesome.
Sorry, this is a very passionate topic for me, and I'm just going on.
I can see, and that's why I asked it, because I think I watched your last video and I could see the passion in the way you delivered that. How to support your children. I would link it in the description. It's, if you have kids and you're an immigrant, please go and watch that video. You will be glad that you did. I think I want us to switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about the careers of immigrants as a whole. A lot of immigrants in the past 5 years have relocated to the UK, and it's a very big adjustment for a lot of us immigrants leaving our home country. A lot of times it's not because that's what we want, but one situation or the other, or we just want to better our lives, right? And we are just taking this opportunity and we coming here doing what we have to do. I think the question I want to ask, and this could be either from your experience or from all the wonderful guys that you've interviewed and ladies, right? What do you think is the biggest challenge that immigrants face when they come into the UK in the aspect of transitioning into the UK workforce? Because as you know, with me, it's not the same as Nigeria. The workforce is not the same. The interaction is not the same. What do you think is the biggest challenge, and how can they overcome that?
The biggest, I think, is about that, being able to adapt into the work life.
What do you mean by adapt?
Yeah, so there is a system in the UK. There's a work system in the UK that's totally different from wherever we are coming from. Being able to adapt to this work system, being able to adapt to this work culture is something that immigrants struggle with. Let me use Nigeria, for example. As Nigerians, we're very expressive. We just want to see our mind exactly the way it is.
Yeah.
The way we think it. But here, you cannot just express your mind. It can be counted as bullying. It can be an harassment. The way we talk, I'm already, if you try to express yourself too much, it will be seen as you are shouting. Yes, I'm okay. But, I had to learn that. Being able to adapt to the work culture, to the system that I'm in. I was speaking to a customer care lady on the phone, and she was telling me that I couldn't cancel a flight, that I was just, what did she say? She said I had just passed the 48 hours. I'm like, I have been on this call because I'm at work. I couldn't call you on time. I knew it was 48 hours. I was told that there was a queue and no one could pick my call, and that happened for an hour. And unfortunately for me, I was calling service. By the time she picked, I was explaining all of this. She said, "Oh, madam, can you calm down? You are shouting. It seems like you're being aggressive to me." I'm like,
Oh, wow.
I had to. I'm so sorry. I am not being aggressive. I am just trying to do you get what I mean? So that in itself is something you have to learn. So that's what I mean by you need to learn to adapt to the work culture. Where we come from, if your boss takes you out, you are sure to enjoy life. You are sure that your boss will pay for
it.
In the UK, when it's time to go out, have your money.
That is very important for my viewers. You guys, you need to know that. We talk about money a lot, right?
So that's what I mean by adapting to the work culture. I've made these very, little examples. There are more, bigger examples that I think, it will depend on, say, where you are working and all that, but have to learn to adapt. If you work in a place where you have to clock in, if you go and you clock in late, your money is reducing.
Yeah.
You can't be late for a meeting. When they say this is happening at so time, you have to be on time. When you are going for an appointment, you can't just leave in a hurry. You now have to learn to plan hours ahead of your appointment. Not even though you talk about GP appointment, you miss it these days before you get another one. Being able to adapt to the work culture, being able to adapt to the system. Also, the culture shock will always be there for people. The culture shock will just be there. I'll tell you one story. When I first came to this country, 2013, the first time I saw a zebra crossing, I went into the zebra crossing. I got halfway and there was a car coming. Guess what? I did not get to my destination. I went back to where I was coming from because I'm sorry, where I come from, zebra crossing are not zebra crossing. When a car is coming, you're either running because the car is not going to wait for you. I'm sorry, this is not to shame my country. I love my country so much, but I'm just, trying to tell you how things are totally different. The people that were doing, like the students that were helping with registration and all of that, they looked at me the way I ran back with, serious fear of I will be hit by this car. And they were like, no, it's okay. And then when they said it was okay coming, I was still on the other side until I saw the car stopped at the zebra crossing. That was like, oh, okay. This is actually the real zebra crossing. It is a zebra crossing. Now I believe. So, I think that's one thing. The culture shock will be there. The language barrier will be there. When you understand the system, gradually, you will be able to, find your own voice in the system. You're not losing your identity. I think something else, some immigrants struggle with is, their identity, trying to be who they really are. People can be involved in your own culture when they know what your culture is. You have to also embrace. So this is the adaptation now. You have to embrace the British culture. There is a British way of doing things. You have to embrace those things and begin to see yourself as, okay, I'm part of this community now. How can I understand how they do things? How they pronounce things, Some people, the way they adapted was, they said they watched movies, they watched BBC and all of that. For students, some people, it was about watching their lecture videos and recording. When I came to this country, I had this very small recorder. I recorded my classes. I will now listen to it again, just for me to gradually, you will get used to the accent. That's one other big challenge people struggle with. The language barrier. You're right on the bus. Are you okay? Funny. Yeah. All those things. You have to say thank you. Somebody that took you on a bus, you paid them money. Get down and say thank you. It's a lot, but these are just a few that I think most people will be able to.
That makes sense. So you've been here since 2013. You came in for masters, but I know very recently, at least anyone that's been watching your videos, you spoke a lot about global talent. What has that journey been like? Just wanted to walk me very briefly how you got to where you are.
Yes, I'm a global talent recipient. I think I need to add that to one of my caps. I had my master's, I had my PhD. So the global talent visa, if you don't know, if you are new to it, you should by now know me for global talent. But in case you don't know what global talent is, the global talent visa is a visa that is for international potential or leaders in their fields. These fields cover the categories of academia or research, digital technology, and the arts and culture. So the Global Talent Visa is very unique and it's all about you. So I have a PhD and I got my Global Talent Visa. There are some people out there that don't have a PhD and still got their Global Talent Visa. It is an based visa. It's all about you. It's all about your life. If you've ever had, the dream of, I will be what I want to be, all those, this visa, that
to prove it
is the visa to show that, tell us what you want to be, what you have been, and what you shall become. Global Talent Visa is that visa. It's about your yesterday, your today, and your tomorrow. That's the summary of Global Talent Visa. So yeah, it's very person specific, honestly, and it's evidence based. It's based on your experience. So a potential leader is someone that have experience between 1 to 5 years, while a leader is someone that have experience above 5 years. So the potential leader under the Global Talent Visa category is called an exceptional promise,
Mm,
while the leader is called an exceptional talent. So we are all exceptional, but some of us are
promise.
promising, while some of us are leaders already in our field. And so if you go to the gov.uk website, you will see a long list of fields that fall under each category, either research or academia, arts and culture, or digital technology.
Awesome, awesome. For those that are watching and they're interested in this, again, just go to Dr. Yem's YouTube channel, and I think she has a link there where if you want to have a consultation with her, you can book and have that consultation with her so that you would make sure that you're taking all the right steps. But before people do that, what do you think is the most important part in the application of global talent? And the other part to that question is, from the people that you've spoken to, do you know what the biggest mistakes are that people make when they apply?
Interestingly, there are two stages for this visa, stage 1 and stage 2. The most important stage is the stage 1, which is the endorsement stage. Once you're endorsed, you are sure to get the visa. So it's splitted. Without the endorsement, you can't get the actual visa. So this is what the Home Office does. The Home Office, when you submit your application, recommends your application to your endorsing body. And that's why it's called the endorsement stage. So this endorsement stage is for your endorsing body to endorse you. So under academia and research, we have 4 different routes, route 1 to 4, which can either be an academic position, individual fellowships, or an endorsed funder, and then the last, which is the peer review. With art and culture, anyone applying through the art and culture are endorsed by Art Council England, while the digital technology, everyone under that is endorsed by Technician. So all of these endorsing bodies, as soon as the Home Office gets your application, recommend your application to those endorsing bodies. And that's the most important stage. And that's the first stage of the application. So even when you are paying for the application, you pay for the endorsement first. If you get rejected, you can't get the actual visa. And unfortunately, you will not be refunded. You lose that money. And it's 500 and something pounds. That money is gone. So you want to really think about what you are bringing to the table before you apply for your endorsement. So that is the most important stage. Once you get your endorsement, it's so interesting. It's just one email. Dear so you have been recommended by your endorsing body as an exceptional promise, and we hereby endorse you. That is how you go home with your endorsement. And if it is a rejection, they will help you to break it down. How you were rejected, why you were rejected, how you do not, deserve to be an exceptional promise or an exceptional talent. So it's all about the criteria, the Global Talent Visa. And once you can tick all the boxes, do you have, for places where they say you must have a PhD, do you have a PhD? Tick. Do you have an equivalent experience to a PhD? If you don't have a PhD, tick. You package your experience, and that is what the evidence is.
When you're talking about just ticking those boxes, right, what you need, are they explained? Like, my interpretation of that criteria, is this something that they will tell you, this is exactly what we are looking at? We don't want you to interpret in another way. Like, for example, what you just said about equivalent experience. What I will count as equivalent experience? Did they specify in black and white?
Yes.
Okay.
So there is a guideline for each endorsing body, which is like, what one of my coach friend Marilyn calls the Bible of Global Talent Visa. So each endorsing body have a guideline. For the academia and research, they have a guideline that guides everything academia and research. For Tech Nation, they also have a guideline. Okay, for Art Council England, they now have guidelines, because for like the art and culture, they have writers there, they have fashion designers, they have artists, comedians. If you have talent here and you're wherever you are in your country, you can come to the UK, whatever talent you have. So, but under those, they now have guidelines and they have criteria for each of these. And some of them are evidence-based, while some are not. Each of the endorsing bodies have a guideline and they tell you exactly what is expected of you. How you now present these evidences is what differ for each applicant. So for academia and research, under Route 1, it is strictly academic positions. If you don't have an academic position, more on the senior side or under innovation, you can't apply for Route 1. For Route 2, it is strictly individual fellowships. There's a long list of organizations that you can apply for those fellowships for, and then you will just come to the UK automatically. And that's why I'm really interested in getting this message out, because there are so many people that have come for fellowships in the UK and didn't know about Global Talent Visa, and they couldn't use skilled worker visa. Some of them would just collect visitors visa, because they are not working, they are not doing anything. It's some of them might just come for a fellowship, whether paid or unpaid. Always check, can I use the Global Talent Visa? Because the opportunities it opens up for you, especially under the academia and research, is that in 3 years, you will have your indefinite leave to remain, as long as you are able to meet the requirements. So your question is answered. All the endorsing bodies have the requirements that you must meet. There's a criteria that you must meet to be able to get your Global Talent Visa. And that's why I said point-based, because those criteria are literally being ticked. Do you meet this criteria? Yes. Do you meet this criteria? No. So the rejections that we've seen, they will tell you why you are not qualified. They will put out the list for you and tick what criteria you did not meet. That's why I said it's point-based, because each criteria will be listed and then it will be ticked. Back to your question of, so what leads to rejection? You don't present the evidence. You'll be rejected. You don't meet the criteria. As simple as not writing a date. We've seen rejections of not signing your recommender, not signing, or not having a date on your paper. Because how will someone sign something and not put a date? Or maybe your one document is saying that you are working at so place, when they cannot understand two things, or maybe when there is a double signature somewhere, they literally sit down. It's like a proper review. The documents are being reviewed, your evidence is being reviewed, and you will get your results on results day.
I want us to wrap up, but there are 2 questions left that I would like you to share your opinion. And the first one, is there anything that you think is important that we've not discussed?
I think what I would like to say, connect to, everything we've talked about, both family life, professional life, our experiences as immigrants, is be ready for what you signed up for. You are coming to the UK as an immigrant. Accept yourself as an immigrant. Stop arguing, why is that? Why can't I have access to this? They are not fair. It is not fair. Nothing is fair in life until you become the king yourself. By the time God moves you from someone that have a visa status to indefinite leave to remain, to citizenship, you will now begin to enjoy the unfairness that you thought wasn't fair. So 2 things I want to say basically is, be ready for what you signed up for. As an immigrant, when you come into the UK, be ready to face the challenges that you would experience.
Is it that a lot of people don't even know what to expect? There is that gap in knowledge.
Yes, the expectation is so high. Like for some people, they will leave their home country, they won't have paid their school fees, and then they will come thinking they can work themselves out. There There's been a lot of record of immigrant deaths recently, like never before. And it's something we need to pray against and also actively, physically make sure that we are not victims of that. 2 weeks ago, someone dropped dead in a warehouse. Only God knows how long he's been doing the shift for. Some people leave their home country with not enough money, nothing. And they just think, I will come here.
And the working is not even the bad part. Is the fact that we are also coming from a culture that we are not used to taking care of our health. So you don't even have that mindset that you're paying your tax. You have access to the GP when you have a headache. It could be something else. So it's better to go and have it checked out. And that's Nigerian mentality of pushing through and all of that. You bring that here. And yeah, I think that also plays a part. But what you said is very, very important. People should, and that's why it's very important to seek knowledge. I think that's one thing, and seek the right knowledge. Because if you seek the knowledge of people that are doing what you are doing, like what you just described, that's the only life you know, and you don't know that there is something else that you can do for yourself, or there is another aspect or angle that you should look at. And thank you. That's very important.
I also wanted to add to making plan and having plan is when you're also coming, do your best to study a course that is in demand. If you think you want to stay in the UK in the long term, like Andy said, find the right knowledge. What course can I study? I want to stay back in the UK. So have a long-term plan, not a short-term plan. Have a long-term plan. Also, leverage on community, leverage on mentorship, leverage on skills that in demand. If you're a student who have come to the UK, learn skills, improve your skills, and start, tailoring them towards things that are in demand. Because being on a visa is like being on a timeline. At a particular time, if you don't have a leave to remain, you will be on your way to your home country, wherever home is for you. So please have a long-term plan. Leverage on mentorship, community, and all of that is so important, because that would help you to, think of your professional life, your family life, all of that. Everything just connects, everything connects. And finally, have God in all this matter. Very important. You need God to see you through, help you. Quick knowledge, quick wisdom, wisdom to do things quickly, and finally, have the right circle of friends. I'm not saying you shouldn't have friends when you're working in the warehouse, but if only friends you have are the people working in the warehouse, you will continue to work in the warehouse till Jesus comes. The people you connect with, the people in your circle, it goes a long way to determine what your future will be like as an immigrant in the UK. If you have taken nothing from this interview, I want you to go home with that the people you connect with in the UK, change your circle, be with the right people, connect with the right people.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Last question, which we were trying to introduce as our closing tradition. It's something that I ask people informally, but a friend of mine told me, why don't you ask this when you interview people? And I think it's very important. And when I ask the question, you would understand why. And the reason is because we learn a lot more from people's mistakes. You learn from people's successes, but when you hear the mistakes someone made, if it gives you an extra, there is boost. Yes, there is that extra motivation that, I don't want to make the kind of mistake this person make. And as we all know, the Wealthy Post is a personal finance channel. We talk about all things personal finance, career, and just making sure that you're living your best life in the UK or wherever it is that you're watching from. So the question is, can you share what your biggest financial mistake have been since you moved to the UK, or maybe even before coming to the UK, and what was the lesson that you learned that?
Wow, I guess after I say this, we have to get free consultation from the Wealthy Post. I need to put my financial desk in order. So yeah, my biggest mistake was, estimating the cost of living in the UK, which, I think most of us do. I am not good at budgeting, and that is something I've had to learn the hard way, because by the time you buy your fuel, the money is all gone. I'm still learning, trust
No, that I
me.
think that's a good place, and it's also a good place to wrap up. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you, Dr. Yemisi, and I'm sure we are going to do this again. But until
Yes.
then, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me. I really had a great time on the Wealthy Post, and yeah, looking forward to more collaboration. And it's been a great time. It's been a wonderful reflection for me. Seemed like I'm the one on the hot seat today. Thank you